Okay, sir. So, dear participants, our next presenter is about to join. Still 3-4 minutes are there. So just wait and he will be joining and we'll start next. Yeah, he's joined, I think. Yes. Uh, Good afternoon, Professor Tripathi, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar, sir. Very good afternoon.
Sir, already 23 participants are there, so better we start instead of waiting. So, dear participants, he is Professor O.P. Tripathi ji. He is affiliated in Mizoram University and he is faculty member in Environmental Science Department of Mizoram University. So far, he has guided more than 7 PhDs and more than 10 are ongoing researches under him. He has completed 12 major research projects under him, and ongoing, still 5 more are ongoing at present. His research-based publications are more than 90 as of now. And he's member of various academic bodies, not only in Mizoram University, but in other places also. So I'm just requesting Professor Tripathi ji to
Using me. So I will start my, before I just interact with them, can I just see that the slide is moving or not?
Yes,
Because,
we are able to see it, sir, but make it full screen.
okay, and okay,
Not yet full screen, sir.
make full screen. And slide is moving.
No, not moving, sir.
That's the,
First
I
slide
think, yeah. After like maximizing it, I don't know. Now it is moving.
moving, sir, but it's not full screen.
Yeah, not full screen, but now is full screen, I mean.
I think it is turning, sir. It's taking time. It's going.
Okay, so let me just check that the second slide is going or not. Now,
No, same thing, sir. Plant community.
no.
Still
Okay,
plant community, sir.
okay, maybe the uh, in full screen, I think there is some problem then for me.
Okay.
Okay, because here though it is moving.
Yeah, now moving, sir. Now moving.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me move on because I will be just talking to the very brief as I have been asked by the Deputy Director HRDC that I must not talk on much on research oriented, more on basic oriented. So I will just proceed with as it has been informed that I will be talking on the climate change, bioresources and the sustainable livelihood. I will just let me start from the basics. Like we all know that the ecology basically talks about like the biosphere where we are and the various life in the prevailing environmental conditions and all, and they are very complex when type situation and all are interlinked. We can see at the downside graph that each of them they are interconnected with many. Because of any reason, if we are disturbing one, the other will be automatically affected. Even sometime we will see that some of it they plays a very important role, and if we somehow damage them, lot will be automatically affected. Like many of the participants are aware, the keystone species or umbrella species whose can directly and indirectly influences the many. So like that, we must know that we are part of the environment, and within that, the various organisms are there. They are interconnected with each other, maybe because of some provides the benefit to other, what we call it food web. And in that, if we are like the interaction process are going to be affected, automatically the else is going to be affected. So keeping this in consideration, so we are like in a situation where it says that either we are removing them, altering the habitat. Habitat is the place where the habit resides, we know, or we are damaging it, extraction we are doing, or let's say altering the environment by the process of fragmentation or so. So this whole will affect the biota as well as the prevailing habitat conditions too. Many consequences of doing so are unpredictable. Like sometime it may happen that we are extracting some resources that may not impact a lot, but may, because like you have extracted something, you have altered the habitat. Now life, they are very peculiar to the place where they resides. Like we are saying that the from habitat, now the people they have agreed that more study must be emphasized on niche, the particular place, the specific locations where the life is prevailing. Some of the life, they are very sensitive to the own surroundings. If that own surroundings, because of A or B factor, is going to be influenced, then that life will be in trouble. So that's what it says, that the like there are many consequences which are unpredictable. So understanding how it works on, like we do study the interactions that are species interactions. We study on the site characteristics, the edaphic, climatic, biotic, and the climatic variables where they are residing. So like we are trying to understand that. A lot of study you will find uh, presently that people they have worked out. Okay, suppose we have to translocate the rhinos from A location to B location, then how we will come to know that the B location has the similar niche what is in A site. So like we look of this site characteristics, now this technology plays a very important role in landscape level, this kind of interactions study and suggesting the remedial measures and all. So anyway, so like the atmospheric part in one side, downside you can look of the from atom to the organism complex of molecular and the organic compounds and all, and then from organism one individual, what the ecology says that if one individual, we are looking of all its lifespan in relation to the habitat, then we are calling art ecology. So either we can do the single label study at the art ecology site, or group of individual you can take of the same life, then we are working on the population ecology, or different population residing in the same habitat, same area, and then we are doing the ecological study, then we are calling the community ecology we are doing. And this plus the surrounding, if we are taking together, then we are working with the landscape or the biosphere level enumerations of the bioresources. Bioresources, well, let me clear that any life, biodiversity like it defines no, biota. Anything where there is a life is bio. So all biota together. Although I will be emphasizing more on the plants, that is because of my limitations of plant related studies which I am working with. Therefore, the examples will remain towards the plant side. Then if like community, as I says that the assemblage, grouping of populations. Populations we say individual of same organism. Same organism, many number. Then we are calling the if population, and if populations groupings are there, means more than 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 populations are present in a place, then we are calling it is a community. Like we can say the plantation could be the example of the population, and then the forests are example of the community. So small pieces of the forest. Then it says that the community characterization, then it's characterized by its diversity. So if we will look up the diversity, then on the landscape level, if we will go or from altitudinal gradient, if we will go height wise, then you will find that as we move from lower height to the upper height, the diversity increases. That is because at lower height, there are more homogeneity in the site conditions, like soil may be of similar type, weather may be of a type, or there is a distinct seasonality, so on and so forth. So making the similar type conditions, and every life they have their specific demand. So many life they can fulfill their demand here, but many cannot. So in that situations, as we are moving from lower to the higher side, then the heterogeneity occurs. In the side, there is a variability. So this variety of conditions that are prevailing provides the opportunity to many biota who can come out there and they can sustain out there, leading to more number of variety of organisms, which are enumerated at the gene level or species level or the landscape level. So generally, you will find species, how many type of, like there is a teak, there is a sal, there is this. But sometimes you may find that there is a variation in teak also. And then there are sub-names in the classifications for that. In that situation, we have to differentiate them. Then we go by characterization of genetic sequences, which does not differ. So if it differs, then definitely that is maybe a ecotype of it. Sometimes they may be ECAT, like genetically fixed modifications, then we are calling ecotype. But if it is a like physiological modifications are there, maybe because of more light or less nutrient or more moisture, the leaf color, leaf shape or height, they are different. But same plant, if is growing in some different situation, drastic change in the conditions, contrast condition we can say, then same species has a different behavior in the leaf color or height or so and so. Like many studies on the establishing that they are the example of the ECATs have been carried out and established. But many, if they are translocated from there to here or here to there, the changes remain as it is there. Then in that situation, we are calling they are ecotypes to each other. So anyway, the variety that is out there that we are studying, so we are calling the very popular term species diversity or species richness, which may be within a community. You can take one forest or one national park, or one and two forests. You have two forests, then we are looking at the changes in the composition, the richness. Then we are calling the maybe the beta diversity you are doing, or whole Mizoram I am working for, the variety of life that is present in the, in spite of the saying the different communities. Then I am doing with the gamma diversity or landscape level diversity and all. So that remains the diversity. Nowadays, like we are working a lot, and our government is also negotiating because it had been established that the climates are changing. Pattern of the weather also changes. Seasonality had been changed. And that has an enormous impact because if in a simple way, if we will look off, and you can if recall, somehow if you are associated in gardening or the agriculture practices and all, or if you have interactions with them, then you will find that the sowing time had been changed of many crops, particularly look of the maize, look of the rice. So like major crops growing season are particularly the sowing time that had been changed. And if we will look up to why this is happening, so there is a concept called phenology. Ki every annual calendar or every day-to-day calendar of the life is directly related with the light. So if we will look of what is going on in the light intensity pattern, so it has been visualized that the intensity which was available, let's say 20 days before, 5 years back, now it is present today. So which was taking place 20 days before 5 years, now it must take today because that light is available today. Because of that light only germination will take place, or flowering will initiate, or fruiting will take place. So all these, the day-to-day calendar of the life is directly related with the. So now the on productivity point of view of it, the biomass which we are calling bio weight of the life. So particularly the plants, bio plants community, they are the one whom you call autotroph or producers. They are the one who captures the or who sequester the atmospheric carbon. So because of that, the carbon concentration in the atmosphere, we can stabilize. If we cannot minimize, at least we can try to stabilize. So like in future, you might be keep on hearing there were many modeling reports which has said that 2020 this will happen, year 2030 this will happen, but that is not happening because since 20 you look of the sustainable development, that concept sustainability came by the CBD in 1992. Then onwards, the government has taken a lot of initiative to maximize the number of the autotroph so that the at least we can capture the atmospheric carbon to some extent, or to the greater extent we can say in Indian scenario we are able to do it. And that had been established by the biomass related studies and all, where potential had been estimated per unit area in a year or in a day, this much amount of atmospheric carbon is captured. So there are the ways by which it has been done, and then the uh, ultimate of the biomass, the how much it has been yielded. Then we says that the community can be recognized at a variety of level, I said that the gene and species and this, and community can be defined at any size. It may be zero point 0.1 hectare, it may be a hectare, or it may be square kilometers. Any size, any scale, or any label. Label are three: gene, species, and the landscape. Basically, there are three thoughts of ecology who describes the community. So one thought is Clement's thought, where they say that the community is closely integrated system with numerous emergent properties such as homeostasis, repair, and predictable development. This is how it is going to happen. And Clemens called community as a superorganism. But it was another thought of Glasham, it says that the plant community is random assemblage of adopted species. Adaptation, like a life will sustain in an area only when it can adopt the prevailing weather or prevailing site. Otherwise, it will be in physiological stress, and in due course of time, it may be like finished also. No more of it. It may happen. So, like, and up to some, he agreed with the Clemens view of properties of integration, such as homeostasis, bringing back in the any damaged conditions, or capability of rejuvenation, or the it has been predicted, like succession says, succession. So succession process and all. But Gleason differed कि community cannot be the super organism, right? And then the modern hypothesis of community talks about, which is close to the Gleason, that the issue is not whether plant community are identifiable or not. The important question is to what extent biological interactions, like there are 7 types of interactions. So biological interactions influences community structure and functions under the limited conditions, are the prevailing site situations. Thus, a community is a mixture of differently adopted species, population of different who can sustain in the given situation, and characterized by mixture, express community environment, and relative prevalence of different adaptations in the community, or characteristics changes along environmental gradients. Like a set of structure and function, they will not get in any habitat. This habitat variability will result into modifications in the structural and functional attributes of the community. Then characterization, like the study to productivity, the production, like rate of production. So that there are ways by which you can estimate the production potential of site. Number is very important because based on the number only there are the different threat categories and all. So abundance and the density, the number, numerical strength, where like abundance has given slightly more weightage in ecology than the density, is primarily because the density corresponds the like total area where I am working with. Suppose 10 number in a hectare. And if suppose one individual require half hectare, then we can say that suppose 0.1 hectare, then at 0.2 hectare, then we can say that 10 individuals are there, then 0.1 hectare, so no competition. But abundance says that this 10 is only distributed in 0.5 hectare. It means their 0.5 hectare area is unused. So if unused, then the interaction is going on tough, because where there it could sustain only one, there are two. So that's the abundance. Diversity, so I have talked earlier, the variety, the life, more diversity or less diversity, more will be definitely there where there will be heterogeneity in the site condition. Complex community like climates. Nowadays, because a lot of problems are going on in the breaking of the community, one is broken into because of any activities, encroachment or whatever. So this breakthrough, sometime either it is segregated or it is connected with a narrow line. So what happens basically, there are basically two ways of biota. One who need a lot of light, and other who need no light or least light. So especially those who need least light, they will be in trouble because of this corridors, connectedness. More and more light will enter inside. So because of the importance of it, now edges effects are studied in ecology. Then bringing back resilience, tolerance, how much one can. So community is resilient or not. And then stable. Stability, basically the successions and process is the climax. And climax community, you can say that, okay, it is more or less stable communities. Then further, the study says like we must study the physiognomy. So by looking a community, if I can say name the community, then we are talking the physiognomy. Like is a grassland because all dominated by grasses are agricultural land. Without doing any study, I am saying, okay, what is the visual appearance of the land? Dominated by whom we are calling to we do the physiognomy. And then the life form. So basically 5 group had been grouped by a ecologist called Ronquius, Phanerophytes, Chemiphyte, Hemicryptophyte, Geophytes, and Therophytes. That is the, I will not go in that. But generally it says that the Indian community, where we can say that there is more diversity, definitely there will be dominance of the Phanerophytes. And there will be least dominance of the Therophyte. Then like the classification has gone. Floristic structure, it is corresponding to the flora composition, so that the diversity or species richness. Biomass, so I have said that what is biomass. And then stand structure, like population structures and all is age distribution. Indirectly, we can infer that the age structure. Okay, definitely the if girth is less, so they might be young in nature, and if big girth is there of the individual, then they may be age old. So by that we will come to know that the age pyramid are so, or the like stratification we can get that. And like if there will be more of lower size and least of the upper side, then we say that the community is growing generally. uh, Age pyramid, what we say is that that is depending on number of individual under the different classes, or the diameter class, whatever you have done, and based on that you are creating a structure. And then the profile diagram, you might be knowing, we are drawing sometimes a sketch of the community so that we can find out the stratification, 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, like, and based on that, even the, let's say, the nature of disturbance also is being studied. Like if multistrata are there and closely distributed, the distribution, spatial distribution of the individual, then we call it generally that is the dense. You look up the forest classification of the country, which is being published by Government of India, Forest Survey of India biannually. Then they have given like the dense forest, moderately dense forest, open forest, and degraded forest. So they have given the crown closer. So profile diagram is another way by which you can do the, by stratification, you can estimate the crown cover. Or we can use nowadays ocular approach also, or we can use the light intensity, which is coming at the ground, inside the forest, outside, and then you can develop the relation and then find out how much has been filtered or hold within the crown. And then that is the height distribution or ground distribution. Then we do a lot of ecological calculations and all. So that I will not talk about. Like these are basically qualitative characters. So I said rest are quantitative or synthetic characters. So that I will not talk on. There's diversity indices, IBI, and then relative frequency. So dominance, similarity, like these are the some. So that is none of our part out here. Then if we have to like look of ki how we know that ki how many species are there, so there are many approaches which you can apply. We can like demarcate some area in the form of line or point or transect or quadrant, and then we can count the number, and certain fraction you have to decide. So generally what we do in bioresources enumerations, okay, like we do some floristic survey in the beginning. We move around and we get some number. Okay, how many type are there? Suppose 20, 30, 40, 50. And then we increase the area, and then how much area we get that based on that. Like I'm trying to say that how you can justify scientifically the area which I measured is completely representing the plant resources or plant wealth of that place at the larger context. So for that, I am saying that okay, generally there are the ways by which it is done. And there is a concept called species area curve. You can follow. And then so one example of here quadrant has been said. And then a small scale study, generally it is said that 5 to 10% of the area must be studied by laying the quadrant. Generally, quadrant and belts are more used in the plan, and then line is widely used in case of the faunal diversity. So basically, lines are because there they have to trail for a kilometer or 10 kilometer, because they may not get in a place. There is a some possibility of occurrence of a, let's say, squirrel. I am going to search. So flying squirrels are there in Northeast India. One of my students, he works on the flying squirrel, Dr. Murali Krishna. And they followed the trailing of line transect. And then generally quadrant, because we here and there we can place. So you can place according to. So generally people, they follow 10 meter by 10 meter. But nowadays, because we are using the satellite data, so in general, most of the free satellite data, they are 30 meter by 30 meter coverage. Pixel size is 30 meter, 30 meter. So most of the time you will find.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is audible. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. Oh yeah, thank you. So like I was talking that like how we can do the enumerations. So that then succession, there is another concept where like there is a process of development and development. And in this process, generally, it may start nowadays. Most of the communities or resources are evolved by the secondary succession. If something is there and then that had been modified and again dominated by other group or same group of resources out there. Or if we will look of the primary succession where there is nothing, and let's say there is a glacier. Now that glacier had been melted, somewhere accumulated, and then let's say the lower plants and then higher plants will come, which will take a centuries to develop. Then the process start. Open land, nudation, and then some propagules are coming from here and there, the migration, and then they will establish there, like maybe algae or the bryophytes or thallophytes, or then they have peridophytes, and then angiosperm. So this process that will be cases establishment, and as one will be there, definitely competition will take place, and because of the competition, then the new introduction will take place. Like let it be even weed also, who is problem to us, the invasive species whom you are calling. Let them grow in an area for decades. You will find that the number of weeds are declining from that area because the condition had been worst. Now that will even, because they can tolerate from very low to very high. So you may see that sometime, like if we will ask our uh, grandparents, then they will say that ki, same crop they are not keep on cropping in same piece of land. That is the either interaction process or the uptake process. Okay, that particular resources have been exploited from there at lot. Therefore, they don't require the sufficient situation in that area. And then the establishment and all will take place, and then finally stabilized or complex community will come out there. And then these are the level of succession. I will not say primary, secondary, I said. And then either disturbed or the undisturbed situations, either dominated by the, let's say, plants, are dominated by the microbes, autotrophic or heterotrophic. That is the beginning of succession. Climax community, like, very difficult to get nowadays, but there are certain course area of the national park and wildlife sanctuaries where we can, or there are some protected forest also. I have not traveled much in Mizoram, but in some places in because of certain rituals, the communities, they are conserving their some forests out there in Meghalaya. They call it sacred groves, and you will find that so attached they are, and the stable situation of the plant community we can get out there. So there are something where there is a stable state, but if this stability retains for longer period of time, then one school of thought says that at least there must be some level of disturbances if we want to sustain the life. Otherwise, it will be homogeneous kind of situation. So since beginning, I am advocated that each of the organism, they have their own specific requirement, which we may not get in the stable situations. So more and more individual or grouping of the individuals you will find in an area as compared to if slight. Although there also some, every life has the fixed lifespan. It has to die only. So because of that, the natural openings are taking place. Lot of literatures are available on the forest gaps, and the analysis has been taken place. Okay, how these gaps are influencing or impacting the site or the species richness of the community and all. So like that, the situation of now some basics, like it says that in this environmental science and all, my department where I am working, basically we are integrating the thoughts of the various disciplines like the biology, chemistry, physics, geography, management, forest management, some economical. Nowadays, people, they are doing a lot of ecosystem services assessment. That also in the form of cost benefit analysis. Like we also did for some part of Assam, how a forest is like at what worth in some area of Gwalpara district we worked out, and then that all there are ways by which we can estimate the direct and indirect benefit, and then you will find that millions of rupees worth is being served by a patch of forest, and because if we do the value addition. So it says that like basically any bioresources which is in an area, so either air or water purification, soil management, or the food, timber, earlier fodder or fuel wood, everything is derived from this plant resources and all. Therefore, it is a prerequisite that we must understand the resources of an area and we should try to manage it for the better future. Now, what if you are calling the sustainability nowadays, like if we will look at 2002 onwards, so communities, they have shown their lot of interest because 92 to 2002, like all conservation where like I thought that my privilege is being affected by the government, by the act of conservation. But once we came to second, the sustainable utilization of the resources, then I got confidence. Let's say the bamboo resources of Mizoram, I'm using a lot for fencing, a lot for fuel wood, a lot for the some pickles and other thing. So like if it is known to me, what will happen if the way it is being deteriorating, tomorrow it will be available or not, then definitely I will extract in a scientific manner or technological, because all traditional knowledges, they are very rich in the management point of view. Like sometime you do visit the Zero Valley, the way they are managing their resources, in the way they do the rice and fish cultivations. They don't have to pay any penny for the irrigation purposes and all, and they get a lot of paddy from that fields and all. So like the traditional way, scientifically we can intervene, do some interventions or some modifications for better yield or better economic return. Therefore, like it had been argued, like we must like uh, conserve, protect the nature, rather than like saying that. Take the example of Punjab. They started wheat production and they were among the top producers of wheat, atta. But later on, the input cost has gone higher and higher, and then benefit is very low. What has happened? Technological interventions, scientific interventions. They started applying a lot of fertilizers and a lot of moisture to mitigate the heat. And because of that, the soil texture had changed and the heat had been enhanced in the soil. The soil temperature has increased. To mitigate it, they started pumping the water. The water table started going down. NASA has reported the certain meter every year is going down. And because of that, the most of the machineries that will install for irrigation purposes waste. So, and then that will lead to abandon. So anyway, if that we are doing, then definitely we are, sustainability is going to be affected, because site we are damaging. If site is damaged, it will take a lot of time to repair, restore. So that's why it is written, growing more food by using fertilizer and pesticides, developing better strains of domestic animal or crops, all this has led to rapid economic growth. But as I said, that the example of the Punjab. But this type of ill-considered development has inevitably led to environmental degradation, besides several harmful effects as well. As I said, out there, the water table is impacted and soil texture has been altered. So poor farmer, they have the problem of managing this landscape. And then you will find recently in last decades, you will find a lot of alloy cropping and the farm plantations all started in, and they started many leguminous crop. Okay, they are growing for 1-2 months, and then they are plowing that because soil texture has to be altered, and then certain layer on the top must be given in the form of let's say like undecomposed litter kind of thing, leguminous crop which are plowed in the side. So this will minimize the any environmental degradation of that area. Otherwise, longer run, in longer term, it is very difficult to manage in the continuous technological interventions in this. Like we are look up the air quality index of capital uh, and adjoining areas nowadays in debate. That is another technological interventions in Punjab and Haryana, part of UP and Rajasthan, because they are not cutting the let's say the paddy, only they are taking out the that grains, and then they are burning, and because of that the environmental situations of the suspended particulates matter, smokes and other thing, and then all asthma patients and all there. So anyway, sustainability we have to keep parallel in mind rather than the our greed. And then in this situation will improve only if one of us begins to take action in our daily life. My small effort, and like that if group will come a lot, we have many government sectors and NGOs. Downside we can see Bombay Natural History Society, Wildlife Institute of India, World Wildlife Fund, and then ZSI, BSI, Salim Ali Ministry. There are reports, bulletins, in-which bulletin every states the some agencies are publishing, like here forest department is publishing, I hope the government of Mizoram, this bulletin in which our pollution control board is there, bioresources, BSI and ZSIs are there, the government are, so like many, they are working on this. At the same time, like mass media is playing a very important role by conducting these programs, delivering it, telecasting, broadcasting it. Or nowadays we can see that the because of the importance environmental studies is introduced since schools. So like that we have to understand the. Then coming to the environment includes like all situations, all conditions. So we say that the long-term weather data is climate. Day to day, the temperature, precipitations, rain is the weather. And in the precipitations, we will look off as the trend of precipitation change. In the beginning, I said, no, because we are more impacted by the temperature and precipitation, any biota, bioresource, then in that case, for precipitation, the literature says the intensity of rainfall is not important for bioresource management. Is a periodicity of the precipitation is important. The meaning is, let's say there is a 300 centimeter rainfall in the central India, and there is a 250 rainfall, 250 centimeter rainfall in the, let's say, Mizoram. But here, every time we find the greenery, and you go to central India, there will be extreme dry situations in the summer. Why this is happening? This is happening because of the periodicity of rainfall. Here, the rainfall is distributed almost more than 200 days. Either precipitation is in a millimeter also. But there, precipitation certain centimeter is taking place in a day, and it is distributed only in 50 days or 100 days, hardly 50 days. So that 50 days can sustain another 50 days or 100 days, so 150 days. And here, if we are taking almost 200 days rainfall, so throughout the year, moisture in the soil can be maintained. So in that given situation, here we have the resources available, and resources are in plenty. If we will see there, you go in the summertime in central India, you will find there is a fodder crisis. For the our grazing lands all dry, and grazers like they are moving here and there in agricultural farms of the farmers. So like that. So air and water quality to air, I have said, given the example of the our capital. Water to depending on the site, the place, and the amount of effluent or discharge that is coming out there. The water quality are deteriorating, so we have to look off that. Soil and landforms, soil formations, geographic character of the site and all. So there are the various ways by which you can estimate the, and then the presence or absence of the other living organism in an area and making the bioresource of that place. So this is how it has been shown out here. Okay, like the integration of the forestry, working purely on the trees and tree management, tree cutting, and this geological formations, the physiographic attributes, erosion and formation are addressed by the geology and geography. Engineering nowadays, lot of scientific technological interventions are there for management. So we have the environmental engineering and technological aspects. Then population to consumers, atmospheric physics, our culture, religion, this and that is plays a very important role. So basically integration, so that we know. Now this slide is showing that suppose this is a landscape, and because of developmental activities, because of natural calamity, or so natural calamity, so that takes here and there. We are more concerned with the let's say the anthropogenic or developmental activities. If expose this area to, then first of all, the bioresources of that area is going to be impacted. And as they are impacted, then there will be loss of biota or the nutrient or the erosion. And if this is taking place, now look of the situation which was intact, and now you look of by the various actions and all to the, now this situation will take a decade or it will take a month or a year. It will decided on the intensity of pressure that we are putting out the landscape, and then restoring this to this will take a lot of time. Therefore, like we must take care in this stage. Like once the pressure was least, then very easily we can restore the process ecological restoration, bringing back the ecology of the place to the same situation. So that can be done at the faster pace. Once like at lesser pace only, we tries to restore it. Otherwise, the situation will come like this. Then problems of the bioresources, so a lot of activities are going on, which is need also, but at the same time, like we need hydropower for electricity, we need road for movement, but at the same time, like we also have to look of the damage should not be the loss at large. And nearby, like the PWD department and all, they are doing the plantation roadside, what they call it, revenue or avenue plantation or aesthetic plantation. So that we can do, we can protect, because we need development also, but the resources must not deplete at a larger place, because you look up, a lot of resources are required for survival of the biota. So resources, renewable and non-renewable. So especially once we are using the non-renewable, we have to be more careful, and that's why the government advocates that use the public transport and all, whatever it is. But we have to look up. Otherwise, like the coal reservoirs has been given out here, and then based on your usage, you can estimate that how much time it will be exhausted and what will be the situation of that day. Then the pollution that all we know, okay, there are various type of pollutant which are added either in the atmosphere or in the soil or in the water, and then like garbage and all, and then particulates matter also. Nowadays people, they are satellite data has been created to find out the 2.5 particulates matter distribution in the atmosphere, and the map is created and is presented out here by the some of the researcher. Loss of the resources is a major concern of the today, where otherwise that may lead to the extinction. Although extinction is the natural phenomenon that will take place. A life has come up, it will be in abundance, and then it will decline, but it will take centuries and centuries to come up in this situation. But the way, like the various activities has resulted into, that was the major concern. So nowadays, in International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, you have seen that IUCN, they are keep on talking the various categories of the threat, and in that we have to work with. So this is nothing new to us. You look of downside, it is saying normal background rate, it is calling ki, assuming no catastrophe, like all of a sudden a large scale some volcanic eruptions kind of thing, or like tsunami kind of things where the millions of hectares have been submerged, or like that. If it is not taking place, so extinction generally take, as I said, that the very slow rate, hundreds of years it may take, or more than that. So that rate is called background rate. So generally, some ecologist has said that the normal background extinction rate for mammal is 1 every 200 years. A life will be maybe extinct kind of situation, or threat category kind of, or endangered kind of situation in centuries. But submergence, if something is very localized in that area only, then lost, then situation is extinct. So this extinction case, last individual is also disappeared, then we call it extinct of a resource. Generally, three type of extinction, natural, mass, and anthropogenic. So we are concerned with the anthropogenic extinction, because mass and then natural, so we don't have. Although 10 millions of life has been reported, but still there are a lot many to report, because as something is lost, new is coming and reaching us to that location where there is emergence of some cases of some life, new life. So it takes a time to be reported. If we will look of why the resources are declining, or resources are going to be under category of extinction, then a small population size. For every life, there is a minimum requirement. If that many numbers are there, then they will sustain. But if you have only few number, then there is a probability of decline in population. So that is one. As I said that every habit has a niche requirement, a specific surrounding requirement. And same time we are saying because of various activities, the site is disturbed, degraded, fragmented, encroached. So because of that, the environmental condition, the niche of that area has been altered. So that altered will lead to the stress, physiological stress. Now, level of stress will decide this can sustain for longer time or cannot. So because of the change in the condition. Then time to time we have catastrophic events, so that rare. Overcrowding, sometimes populations are like there is no management. More and more out there, then resources depletion and very intense competition, size is declining. So that may lead. Or over exploitation, this is the concern. Like some of the plant, let's say Texas, plenty taxes was there in the, particularly the Northeast India, the Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, because it's temperate to alpine and like subtropical to alpine, that area. But today you look at the situation, hardly you have over exploitation. You look of like Assam, lot of agar plant was there, Equularia egolocha. Biotechnology, that media that is prepared, so coming from that plant, Equularia egolocha, and then the population and some perfumes are like uh, developed from agar plant. So like that over exploitation, habitat fragmentation. We are saying a forest, then inside it a road has passed through. So now because of this, there may not be much impact because I am impacting only 0.1% of the total area. But no, you have segregated. And now at what length, at how much length it has been segregated. And then the air pollution and then garbage, this, that. So some nearby area will be impacted, so on, so forth. And so overall damage because of the fragmentation. A breakthrough of the one into many or one into more than one. So that is called fragmentation. Competition, that is the natural process. More the competition, then there will be damage. Allelopathy, a lot of if you will look up the invasive species or so, then they release some chemicals from their roots. And that roots chemical, which has been released in the soil, they suppress the growth of others. So that is called allelopathic effect, and that chemical, allelochemicals. And then the pollution to all we know. So they may lead. Now, how much will decide that they may lead to extinction or they may lead to rarity or endemic situation. Now, this is a study which was conducted by us. Like we tried to say that if there is a forest, then it is characterized by its climate, soil, and then the place where physiography, the altitude, the slope aspects, and other thing, and that is the, and that has resulted a forest. Now that forests are exposed to the lot of biotic pressures like zooming, timber felling, mining, and other developmental extraction, so on and so forth. Then, depending on the pressure, either this forest will be converted to this. This was the situation of Meghalaya. It may not happen, the tropical will be converted to pine. Because there the degraded areas, like 1,000 meter or 1500 meters subtropical situation, pines are there. So it has been said that because of pressure, either it can come to mixed pine, or it may lead, the extreme pressure may lead to barren land. Like many of you, the audience might have visited the Meghalaya, Cherrapunji. You go that side, you see, you will call it cold deserts. Many area is just barren. Why? Which was all forested in the past. But because of mining, because of um, timber, or because of whatever, slowly and slowly they have been taken out and resulted into the degraded land. Now is a high precipitous area and undulating topography, so erosion is very fast. Therefore, the secondary succession process, you will find lot of grasses or sacrum kind of species are dominating in that area. It will take centuries if management starts today also to come back, eco-restore the past. But anyway, this is the situation which was like tried to correlate with, which was done by us. And then this has been elaborated, like what will happen, like where they are. So this is part of my study. So I will not go on this. So basically this study was on fragmentation. As I said, one big forest is broken into pieces, then what will happen? And like the satellite data was used in this to find out the size of the fragment, and then look of in some size of fragment how the diversity, abundance, or dominance is there in the fragments. Then, like to brief it, like due to human pressure, ecosystems are being rapidly modified. We all agree, and habitats are fragmented. So that fragment is resulting into species richness decline, may lead to endemism, displacement of residents means the native species by the non-native PD species, changes in soil characteristics, physico-chemical properties of soil, microenvironmental alterations, habitat is modified, affecting the population structure. In like some area was studied, and under that, the size based on the area, they have been grouped into how square kilometer area on the x-axis, and then the how many fragments were there on the y-axis, and then this has been the situation of the fragmentation pattern in the state of Meghalaya. And then this, the like I said, no, the life form was done by the wrong peers. So we tried what is the distribution of the phanerophytes, chemiphyte, hemicryptophyte. Like this is the position of the bud, based on which this classification was done, from where the branches or twigs will come out. So generally all trees and the large shrub, they are the phanerophytes. Shrubs, they are the chemiphytes. And then the creepers and all, they are the hemicryptophyte. All the like tuber kind of, like colocasia, potato, and then ginger, onions, all these kinds of, where there is a tuber inside the soil, they are the geophytes. And all seasonal plant who completes its lifespan, like most of the herbs, they are the therophytes example. Like based on their numbers, this study was conducted, and the result is as. Then the like regeneration, it had been developed. There are classification of regeneration which says that the rare, so and so forth. This all you know. Now global warming, so resources conserve, resources, plant resources, as I emphasized on plant, they have the capacity to mitigate the impact of climate change. Therefore, we must study not only to meet our need, but also the maintain the surroundings conditions. We have to look for the environmental aspects also. What is the prevailing situation, which can be mitigated by the plantation and other activities. So in continuation to that, so warming is taking place. We will see some of the data downside which has been worked out by some researchers, and they have established. And based on that, we can like look of yes, there is a rise in temperature. Why we are worried? One, to our seasonality, phenology, and everything is changed. Another, temperature will increase, all snow capped area, there will be a melting, and then uh, oceans table height may increase, and then all low-lying area may submerge. So this is how something is going to happen. Therefore, we must look of this. So temperature are rising, we agree. Sea level are rising, we have to agree. Ocean is acidifying because of erosion and ultimately going to the oceans, all major rivers. Climate change is reflected in water cycle changes and in extreme weathers, unpredictable weathers. Then report says that there is a 1.3 degree Fahrenheit, there is an increase in temperature. What ecological impacts could be of this? Ecosystem will be affected. Temperature, rainfall, moisture, pH, we know. As a result of climate change, species and ecosystem are experiencing changes in their range. Range is, let's say, a biota is distributed, suppose, from 0 to 200 meter above mean sea level. That is, let's say, range. Are distributed in tropical evergreen forest. So whole evergreen forest, tropical, is the range. But because of this, the from here it is moving towards other group, or other group to this group. So that is range shift. Timing of biological activity, this I have explained. You look up phenology of the many plant has been changed, and nowadays like long-term phenological calendars are being estimated. So one of our study also working on the Himalayan range, from western to Himalayan range. So eastern Himalaya, we are collaborating with the ISRO from last 10 years, where we are trying to establish the fact there is a shift of timberline, as well as there is a shift in the what we call it biological timing of biological activity. So we have installed out there some of the soil thermometer, and there are some phenocam, which is continuously recording the phenological events of some life continuously from last 5-6 years. Growth rate, because if I am in stress, so definitely rate of increase in time in this space will change, and number, abundance, number of the life is going to be impacted. Then changes in activity at personal, community, and national level will improve the situation. We are keep on advocating. Some of area where changes in human activity could help for better adaptation. Like we are going with the precision agriculture nowadays. We are working a lot to the government IWMP program and all in water management. Energy sources, a lot of renewable, look up the Mizoram University campus. Transportation facilities, always educated. And pollution remediation and biological conservation. These are like something which is going on, which can mitigate or stabilize the climatic situations of the world. This some data which some literature has revealed that atmospheric carbon dioxide in the atmosphere from 260 to 400, and then this is the various other complexes which are present in the atmosphere by our activities. This like a global data set was combined and which has established that rise in temperature may affect agriculture, water availability, human health, energy sector. This was the study done in 2002 by EDEL groups. In Northeast India, there was a study done where I hope is done for almost 100 years. Yeah, 100 years. And in 100 years, they have conducted studies on some district, and then they have reported that there is a 0.2 degree from 70 to 2007. Uh, 11 sites they have chosen for Northeast India, where 6 sites they have reported increase in maximum temperature. In some site, increase in minimum temperature. And in one site, the increasing trend in minimum in winter season. So this is like data available. You can look of this study of Jhajaria in 2011, where they have further they studied in 2013, and they reported what is the winter pre-monsoon or post-monsoon or winter monsoon and throughout the year, what the trend of temperatures are. So you look of if lower graph annual, then you will find that you see in most of the year it is showing the increasing trend. And then like they reported that seasonal slopes were mostly negative for the period 1871 to 2008. These were mostly positive for the period up to 1950, and were both positive and negative from this to that. But none of the slope for the whole region were statistically significant. Overall, no clear pattern of values of slope of trend line for rainfall for the Northeast India region has emerged, either especially on the ground or with respect to time. Thus, one can conclude that rainfall series for this region does not have any significant trend. So, like Jan, they did a study and reported like this, and that's the trends of distribution of precipitation. Now, like just I brought this, to convince ourselves there is a change in the temperature and precipitation. So, if this is happening, then who could be the going to be the sector largely impacted? So, forest, agriculture, biodiversity, water, and us. Other than this, you can go to economy and other aspects also. They will be also impacted. But the resources we are looking at, all the resources are severely impacted, especially the agriculture because they are the seasonal crop. You forest though, at least you can wait for if something is rain is taking place after 15 days also. 100 seed has to germinate. If 20 also has germinated, no issue. But for agriculture, if rice has to be cropped this month and we are cropping 1 month, and then or in winter later part, something has happened which is not favoring the grain formation, then the farmer will be the in loser side. So like we have to look of how we can stabilize this situation. Therefore, the government and all NGO with public support, they are working together to address this issue. Similarly, the more vulnerable society are poor and women. Yes, Jhumias, yes, because they don't have much, Like they cannot invest, and if this year they have not earned sufficient, then next year no problem. No, they will be in problem. NTF is collected. If we are collecting some resources, we are selling in the market. If I am not getting, you go to any vegetable shop. Most of the vendors, they have the non-timber forest producers and they are selling. If that is impacted, is not produced, then to how they will sustain? So they are going to be the most impacted. People living in the flood prone area, look of the low-lying areas of Brahmaputra, every year submergence are there. That is because of the siltation, this and that is taking place in Brahmaputra river, and vice versa, the impacts are. Livestock, if, like I said, no, we go to central India, we have fodder problem. So you will find that if like in very difficult to sustain the people who are keeping the cow, buffaloes, and for the sustenance. Mountain and hill people, because we are closely associated with the bioresources. Artisans, many, like let's say bamboo root and all is collected, and then artisans are creating some design and then selling. If they will not get raw material, herbal practitioner, although nowadays the like is in process of documentation, ki ITK must be documented, because most of this herbal practitioner, because of allopath or whatever non-availability of resources, they have shifting, and then there are no documents. These all are oral. So that's why the like nowadays recording of this is going on, indigenous traditional knowledges and all. So they are going to be most impacted. What we must do that, that we must conserve the resources, particularly the water resources in hilly area, because most of the time, in spite of lot of precipitation, also drinking water problem. And winter season we have the like we cannot do the dry farming, no? We cannot promote because soil moisture is less. So under these situations, like we have to conserve it. This integrated water resource management program, like this is going on. Okay, we must create ponds and all, and we can integrate many resources together for better return, or water storage for lateral recharge or the vertical recharge of the moisture retention. Encourage local food production and enhance food storage facility where we are lacking in storage, but local production so is going on. Regulation on tree felling, so it is there in the northeast India. Managing forest fire, now government of India has like very precisely they are managing the, they are maintaining the fire alarm, forest survey of India. With satellite data, if there is a fire in Mizoram, they can tell you right now. If you are member in that, okay, there is a fire in the state. Awareness, so is, we are keep on working. NGOs are keep on working. Government is promoting energy efficiency in residence, offices, and institutions. So we must take care. Capacity building, like awareness, by involving the Panchayati Raj. Like nowadays, any government scheme, if it is coming, so to the best of my knowledge, the DPRs are created by involving the Panchayat. Earlier, like 10, 20 years back, it was going on ki rural development department is bringing a program in village and villagers are surprised ki what is going to happen. But now Panchayat members, they know in advance ki this is supposed to come in my Panchayat. So that gives better coordinations. Involving R&D so is going on, improving communications, networking and all. So yes. So with this, I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to deliver a talk. If any question, it is most welcome. May I request Professor Manoj Verma, if there is anything?
Is there any question? If you have any question, you can please ask in the chat box from the participants.
Okay. I like summarize 5 minutes before they may ask, but they are writing thank you so much, but they are not asking anything.
I think there is no question,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So you can wind up.
Can I leave now because I have summarized?
Okay,
Uh,
okay, okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can
Thank you so
thank
much, sir.
you, HRDC, Mizoram University, for providing me
Yes.
the opportunity to share my thoughts.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I will leave
Okay.
then.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir, for
Okay, thank you.
sharing your time with us.
Thank you very much.